And they'll reset. Nowitzki again for the lead. Bang!
What's up, Mavs fans? Welcome into All Things Mavs. Today I'm previewing the Dallas Mavericks game against the San Antonio Spurs, taking place on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Now, I know most of you guys are here probably wondering, hey, are Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, or Dwight Powell going to play? And the answer is no, they're not. So this is going to be the 7th straight game for the Dallas Mavericks without Dorian Finney-Smith or Josh Richardson, and the 6th straight game without Maxi Kleber or Dwight Powell. Now, the most frustrating thing about all of this is the fact that this is technically the 14th day since Josh Richardson and Dorian Finney-Smith entered quarantine. So I don't really know what's going on. I would like some clarity from the NBA or from somebody to say, hey, they have to wait this many days. I don't know when they're going to be back. I literally have no idea. Now, my best guess is going to be Saturday against the Rockets because technically that'll be the 15th day. But even then, I'm not sure because I don't know if the Mavs are going to have them in playing shape ready to go. I don't really understand. Now, luckily for Dallas, you look at who they've won, even without these guys. You know, without Josh Richardson and Dorian Finney-Smith, they've beaten the Magic, the Hornets, and the Pacers, and they've lost to Milwaukee, Chicago, and Toronto. So they are 500 without a full team, and that's honestly better than I think a lot of people would have expected when you look at really your two best wing defenders being out. But I'm going to be honest, I'm really frustrated about this, and I'm just as frustrated as you guys. I don't have any answers, but we just got the injury report, and they're all still listed as out. Now, Maxi and Dwight are going to be a little bit longer. All 4 of those guys have tested positive for COVID, so I don't know if they're still experiencing symptoms, if they haven't gotten negative tests. I don't know what it is. As I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, you know, everyone's quarantine is a little bit different. I tested positive, and I was literally stuck in quarantine for, I think it was 20 days. I can't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it was 20 days before I got a negative test. I tested positive 3 different times. So who knows what these guys are going through, but all I know is it's frustrating for the Mavs, and especially as they go up against the San Antonio team that isn't as bad as some people expected them to be. They're 1 game above 500. They're 8-7 this year, and they're 6-4 in their last 10, which is pretty darn good. Another reason I would have loved to have Dorian and Josh Richardson back for this game is the fact that the Spurs have a lot of depth at the wing position. I'm going to break it all down here in just a moment, but I want to kind of talk about the Spurs' schedule and how they've looked this year. Honestly, it's a lot like Dallas. Dallas has a lot of really good wins and a lot of really weird losses. Very similar situation for the Spurs. First 2 games of the year they won against the Memphis Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors, and then they suffered 4 straight losses. The Pelicans, the Lakers twice, and then the Utah Jazz. And then they beat the LA Clippers, who didn't have Paul George or Marcus Morris in that game. And then they beat the Lakers, and they beat the Timberwolves, and then they lose to the Timberwolves, and then they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, lose to the Rockets, then beat the Rockets, then beat the Blazers, then lose to the Warriors. Weird deal. So their wins come against Memphis, Toronto, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, and the Portland Trailblazers. Their 7 losses, the Pelicans, the Lakers twice, as I mentioned, the Utah Jazz, the Timberwolves, the Rockets, and the Warriors. So I'm still really not sure what this team is in San Antonio. All I know is that, hey, if you have Greg Popovich on your team, you're still going to win a lot of games. And also, look, this Spurs team has a lot of wing depth, and it makes them very good on the defensive end. And a lot of those guys, like Rudy Gay and Devin Vassell off the bench, are really good wing defenders, along with Dejounte Murray and DeMar DeRozan in the starting 5. Now, San Antonio's offense isn't incredible, but they do have 7 players that are averaging double-digit points per game. DeMar DeRozan leads the way for him at 20.2. Dejounte Murray at 15.8. Dejounte Murray, by the way, is a guy I would love on the Dallas Mavericks. If the Spurs ever decide to put him on the trade block, I hope the Mavs are calling. Keldon Johnson, a second-year guy out of Kentucky that went at the end of the first round last year, 14.1 points per game, having a breakout year. And he's a great defender. He's even been starting for the Spurs quite a bit this year. Patty Mills is scoring 14 points per game, and he's shooting 42.6% from beyond the three-point arc this year. He has been lights out off the bench. He's been a really solid and reliable 6-man for this San Antonio team. LaMarcus Aldridge not having a great year at 13.5 points per game. Lonnie Walker at 12.5, and then Rudy Gay off the bench at 11.4. Now, despite all of those guys scoring in double digits, the Spurs have the 20th best offensive rating in the league. They're averaging 108 points per game. And for reference, the Mavs are 18th in the league at 108.1 points per game. So this isn't really going to be an offensive showdown by any means, but both of these teams do pretty well on the defensive end. Now, one thing that is true about the Spurs and is usually true about Greg Popovich's teams is that they don't turn the ball over a whole lot. In fact, the Spurs hold onto the ball better than any team in the NBA this year. They're averaging 10.5 turnovers per game, which is the least among any team in the league. Now, the starting five for San Antonio is very interesting. Their starting backcourt, it's Dejounte Murray at point, and then any of these other three guards can kind of play the two-guard position. Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker, DeMar DeRozan, and then their big is LaMarcus Aldridge. They don't really run a too big lineup. They go LaMarcus and then basically let all those guys just run around the wings. And you know what? If this wasn't the Spurs, because as a Mavs fan, I've grown up disliking the Spurs for multiple reasons. If it wasn't the Spurs, this would be a team that I would cheer for because I love the way they have constructed this team. And off the bench, they've got some solid players too. Like I mentioned, Rudy Gay at 11.4 points per game. He's been so good on the defensive end. He plays a lot of power forward for them. Patty Mills is a reliable backup point guard that shoots the three really well. Jakob Poeltl is going to pose some matchup nightmares for whoever the Mavs play off the bench. And then Devin Vassell. Vassell is a guy that the Spurs got at the end of the lottery this year and I was so jealous. When the Spurs ended up getting him, I was like, of course the Spurs get a quality player in the lottery. And Devin Vassell, I think he should have been a top 10 pick. And now he's not shooting the lights out. He's not playing great offense. I mean, 5 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 1.4 assists, but the defense is his bread and butter. 1.4 steals per game. He's shooting 35% from three. He's only playing 18 minutes. So to score, 5 points, 4 boards in 18 minutes, it's pretty darn good. I would watch for him to guard Luka Doncic a lot when he comes off the bench. Watch out for that in Devin Vassell. And that's kind of what scares me, right? Are the wings that the Spurs can throw at Luka. Whether it's Rudy Gay or Vassell off the bench, or maybe it's Keldon Johnson or DeMar DeRozan in the starting five, or heck, even Dejounte Murray, their point guard, could be a matchup nightmare for the Dallas Mavericks. And I think this is a big reason the Mavs are going to run another small ball lineup, just like they did in Indiana, where Kristaps Porzingis is your starting center, and you start Josh Green at the 4, but really it's just to match the Spurs wings. You go, Jalen Brunson's technically your point guard, although Luka will be handling the point guard responsibilities, and then you go Jalen Brunson, Luka Doncic, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, and Kristaps Porzingis. In all honesty, Kristaps Porzingis is the guy that should be feasting on this Spurs team with an old, washed-up LaMarcus Aldridge in the middle. And now I kind of want to talk about my 3 keys to this game because I've got 3 major ones. And number 1 is get Kristaps Porzingis going early and get him going often. Now, if Jakob Poeltl is in the game at any time, that's going to be a little bit of a matchup problem for the Mavs because Poeltl is an aggressive rebounder, screen setter, and he can play good defense on Porzingis. But Aldridge is too slow, and he's not quick enough around the perimeter to guard Porzingis. He's kind of like Sabonis in all honesty, but just older when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, and he can't do what Sabonis does offensively. So attack him early with KP. Let KP stretch the floor. Heck, if he takes 7 threes in the first quarter, I'd be happy with that. KP has been incredible to start the year. And I know some people were down on him early, but I think all the people that were hating on KP early on have shut up now because here are his 5 games after returning from a torn meniscus. Game number 1 against the Charlotte Hornets, he's on a minutes restriction, 21 minutes. He scores 16 points, has 4 rebounds. Second game against Milwaukee, not incredible, but still got a double-double, 15 points and 10 rebounds in 29 minutes. Then against Chicago, started slow, finished strong, 20 points, 8 boards in 33 minutes. And then Toronto, the second night of a back-to-back, he goes off for 23 and 9. And then, of course, in that Indiana game, as you all probably know, 27 points, 13 rebounds because he was playing the center position. And that's what I expect him to do in San Antonio. And I think he's going to be able to get it going early and get it going often. And if he does, this Mavs team is set up for success. I think Luka's really going to have a hard time against the length and the speed of this Spurs wing defense. And so I think it's going to be heavily put on Kristaps Porzingis' shoulders to pull out the win for the Mavs. Second key for this game is to force San Antonio to turn the ball over. I mentioned it earlier. They don't turn it over a lot, and when they don't turn it over a lot, they win games. That's why they're 8-7. So get them to turn the ball over at least 12 to 15 times in this game, and I think Dallas is going to be able to win this one. It's going to be a lot harder without Josh Richardson and Dorian Finney-Smith playing the passing lanes, but the Mavs have been good on defense even without those guys, and I think they will be able to force turnovers if they can get into the teeth of the defense and be able to play off the ball well and play the passing lanes. My third major key is to dominate the rebounding battle for the Dallas Mavericks, to dominate the Spurs, because the Spurs are 24th in the NBA in rebound percentage at 48.4%. The Mavs are 19th in rebound percentage at 48.9%. However, just because they're lower in the rebound percentage, they're still averaging the 10th most rebounds per game this year at 46 per game. The Mavs are 13th at 44.8. And you're probably like, Jimmy, what is rebound percentage? Basically, a rebound percentage is, hey, if there is an available rebound, how often does your team get that board? The Spurs only get it 48% of the time. The Mavs get it 49% of the time. So dominate the glass, win the rebound battle. The Mavs have shown before that when they do that, they are able to win the game. And so this is a game that has to happen. Now, I'm really frustrated about no Josh Richardson. I'm frustrated about not having Dorian Finney-Smith. I'm frustrated about not having Maxi Kleber. Dwight Powell, even at this point, it's frustrating not having him back. But I think Dallas is going to have to find a way to pull this game out because they found a little rhythm in Indiana. They found a lineup that works. They found that Kristaps Porzingis at the 5 is their bread and butter. And if they can continue to utilize that and play strong, this is a game that I think Dallas can win if they attack the right places. San Antonio's good. They're better than we expected. They're not going to just be pushed over. But I will say, I think Dallas is the better overall team, especially when 100% healthy. San Antonio should have all their guys. I'm not aware of any injuries as of right now for them. And, you know, fully healthy team, it's good to know like what you're going up against in a team in San Antonio. And it's always fun, Spurs and the Mavs battling off. It's obviously a kind of turn of the tide in terms of Spurs-Mavs rivalry, but maybe something can get sparked up once again this year. So let me know what you guys think. Are the Mavs going to win this one, or are the Spurs going to win this one? Give me your score predictions down in the comment section. Now, Friday afternoon, I think I'm going to do my first live stream. I'm going to do it later in the afternoon, maybe around 3 to 4, because that game tips off at 7:30. We'll do some Q&A. I'll let you guys ask me questions, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I expect out of the Dallas Mavericks for the rest of the year, and maybe we'll have an update on the injury report as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers before the end of the month. Maybe if the Mavs go on a winning streak, we can make that happen. But whatever happens, please give this video a like, get in the comment section, and as always, go Mavs, baby.